Now look at the another or next concept called deviation of different types. Deviation means to move from standard format or whatever the rules and regulation had given by others, it is away from it. Let's see. Deviation are foregrounded irregularities of language. Deviations are foregrounded irregularities of language. They refer to the violation of normal rules or conventions of language in poetry. Yes, it is very simple. That is, whatever the rule and regulation had given in the past, use of language in poetry, so it is quite differ. It is use new rules and regulation at their own level. Let's see. They refer to the violations of normal rules, conventions of language in poetry. We can attempt a brief survey of different types of linguistics deviations in poetry here. Let's see. First one is the lexical deviations. Lexical, it is related to the words or dictionary, or it may be auxiliary vocabulary. That is lexical deviations. The most obvious examples of lexical deviations are neologisms. The most obvious examples of lexical deviations are neologisms. These are words newly coined by writers and hence are not a part of the traditional lexicon of language. Neologisms are created by poets, journalists, copywriters, and others. Neologisms are created by poets, journalists, copywriters, and others. Look at some of the examples from Indian newspapers. The jungledom of Virappan extended to 3 southern states of India. The jungledom of Virappan extended to 3 southern states of India. Next one. The Babudam of Indian bureaucracy is not quite known for its efficiency. It was Manmohanimics which saved India from bankruptcy during the Narasimha Rao regime. Arundhati Roy has coined new words like antly, streetscape, afternoon mayor, and mere child. In her Booker-winning novel, The God of Small Things, it is written in 1997. These are the words which is underlined here. These words are coined by themselves. Jungledom means, Virappan had used to live in a jungle. The jungledom of Virappan extended to 3 southern states of India. It means his rule has been extended to 3 states. Babudam, it is a Babudam of Indian bureaucracy is not quite known for its efficiency. Just they used to show their efficiency, but they don't work at the office. It was Manmohanimics which saved India from bankruptcy during the Narasimha Rao regime. Manmohanimics means, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had awarded his PhD from London Economics School. So he has that depth of knowledge, and his knowledge will save to the India. There are some concept of Arundhati Roy, streetscape, afternoon mayor, and male child. So let's see. Most of the lexical deviations used by poets, writers are generally nonsense formations. Most of the lexical derivation or deviations used by poets or writers are generally nonce formations. They are made for nonce, that is a single occasion only. It is only occasion. Nonce means occasionally. Remember, most of them do not become a part of the regular lexicon of English, except a few words like Shakespeare's Assignations or Milton's Pandonomium. T.S. Eliot created the word philosopher on the lines of foretail, foresee, forewarn in his poem, The Wasteland. In the line, and I, Tiresias, have foresuffered it all. This strikes us as a novelty and a surprising extension of the expressive possibilities of language. The same is true about Lady Macbeth's expression "unsex me" here in Shakespeare's Macbeth. The following line from Hopkins' The Wreck of the Duchland also illustrates how neologisms can be coined by extending the rules of word formations. The widow making, unchilding, unfathering dips. Neologisms are the extensions of a rule of word formation rather than its violation. Here, neologisms are the extensions of a rule of word formation rather than its violation. Compounding and affixation seem to play an important role in the creation of poetic neologism. Compound word and affixation of a prefix and suffix, it create new words. Here let's see. Sometimes functional connotation is used to produce neologism. Neologisms in Hopkins' line cited above, the word dips is converted from the category of an adjective to noun. It is pluralized like a noun to suggest deep oceans. In Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, towards the end of the play, Cleopatra foresees her impersonations by a boy actor on the Elizabethan stage. I shall see some squeaking Cleopatra, boy my greatness. Here the noun boy is converted into a verb. So this is a kind of the neologism used here. Now we move to another part of this, grammatical deviation. We are going to learn the different types of deviations. This is a grammatical deviations. Let's see. These deviations result from the violations of rules of grammar related to words and sentences. These deviations result from the violations of rules of grammar related to words and sentences. Look at the following line from Thomas Hardy's poem, Neutral Tones. The smile on your face was the deadest thing. The smile on your face was the deadest thing. We all know that the word dead is not a gradable adjective, and so it cannot have either a comparative or superlative form. The use of word deadest is thus a clear case of grammatical violation. Grammatical rule has not used here. It is only feelings and emotions of poets is disclosed here. The situation described in the poem is that of a last meeting between the lovers after their final breakup. Perhaps the poet wants to highlight the utterly lifeless quality of the smile on the face of the addressee, and hence the use of unusual word deadest. Where are traditionally called interventions? What are traditionally called inversions will also fall into the category of grammatical deviations because they break the rule of the normal word or order in grammatical sentence. The following two examples, one from Wordsworth and one from the Samuel Taylor Coleridge, S.T. Coleridge, illustrate this kind of grammatical deviations. 10,000 saw I at a glance daffodils. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan pleasuredom decree. Another often cited example of grammatical deviation is the phrase a grief ago from Dylan Thomas' poem of the same name. Position occupied by grief is generally occupied by the temporal nouns like day, week, month, year, decade, century, millennium, etc. Normally, we make a selection only from the category of temporal nouns, but this selectional restrictions has been violated in the poem. Ezra Pound's two-line poem "In a Station of Metro." In a station of the metro is also a synthetically deviant poem because it lacks an essential element of grammar, that is a verb. In a station of the metro.